Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Europa Universalis 5, a game for people who look at an Excel spreadsheet and think, wow, this would make a great video game. In the last video, I started a quest to make the Hanseatic League the world's economic hegemon. Despite playing a nation that can't conquer land, we quickly exploited the game's systems to create a massive swarm of vassals to do all of my bidding and fighting for me. But with coalitions on the horizon and rising economic competition, can we continue to dominate, or will the game start to fight back in ways that I can't expect? Now, a quick disclaimer, the previous video was a sponsored video, but this video is not, which means I can actually speak my mind! Oh my god, I hate EU5. Don't buy it, don't buy it! Okay, I'm actually joking. I'm not paid to make this video, but if like me, you do end up falling in love with EU5 and want to play it yourself, then I recommend buying the game through my link in the description, as it supports this channel. Also, depending on your currency, it might be cheaper than Steam. Anyway, grab yourselves a nice warm cup of Yorkshire tea, and comment your favorite trade good as we dive back into the world of Renaissance Europe, on a quest to become the world's economic hegemon. Okay, so welcome to 1371 as we enter our true rise to power. My main goal for this video is to achieve the rank of hegemon. However, this isn't something we can technically unlock until we reach the age of discovery. There are a few hegemons that we can pick up. Naval hegemon basically just means, hey, you have the most amount of heavy ships, and it makes you better at fighting in the seas, but the one that we want is economic hegemon. This is granted to the great power with the highest monthly income. If we can get this, then it allows us to use a diplomatic ability to force other nations to divert trade to us. This is horrifically overpowered and would basically force all of Europe to handle all of their trade via us. If I can get my hands on it, we basically win the game. Now, in the meantime, since you've last seen me, I have now conquered Pisa, which gives me a new member of the Hansa on the west side of Italy. By doing that, it has increased our naval range, so that way we can now reach all of the Mediterranean. And with that addition, it now means we can build more and more overseas trading posts. So we're building 91 of them all across the entire coastline of North Africa and through all of Egypt and into Anatolia. In total, we are building 149 new buildings into our kingdom. It is horrifically over the top, but if it all goes through, our trade income should continue to rapidly spiral out of control. And seeing as things are going very well for us, I feel that we might as well just go and do some more war. So yes, we're once again fighting a bunch of German powers who really don't stand a chance, as our vassals are able to now summon a stack of over 20,000 men to war. Yeah, that's pretty darn good. And the seal of the Hansa increases our trade capacity by 33%. Okay, that's a horrifically overpowered technology we've just gained. Lovely stuff. Oh my goodness, and one of the provinces we've picked up is the town of 𝐶 here. This is incredible. It's got the largest gold mine I have ever seen. Look at that. Up to 11 gold this province can produce. So of course we're going to get very close to them, and now this nation will be paying me a huge amount in terms of diplomatic reparations. Lovely jubbly. Yes, our endless power trip continues. They've now become our most profitable vassal. They give us 4 gold per month. Oh, they're incredible. So our next major war in Europe is complete, and we've grabbed 3 new vassals. One in the county of 𝐓𝐡𝐢𝐬 here, then the county of Berg, and finally the rather big duchy of Hesse, all of whom will make fantastic vassals. And this means we're now up to a grand total of 47 subjects in our nation, which is utterly ridiculous. I don't think the game was designed for me to have this many subjects, but hey, here we are, all of whom are granting me various different bonuses and advantages, and most importantly, a metric ton of trade revenue. Now, this has come at the downside that all of Europe now hates me, but honestly, even if they were all going to unify and fight against me, it doesn't matter. I've got so many subjects and so much money that the only thing I could say to them is bring it on. Right, so our domination of Europe is going very, very well, and by that I mean most of Europe is really hating on me, but it's okay because they can't fight back as they're simply too scared. And guess what? Another 5 years has passed, so that means I can use my lovely parliament again. This is where things are going to get quite ridiculous indeed, because my plan is to very simply take over the entirety of Europe, not by actually conquering any land, because of course I can't do that, but instead by seizing more vassals. And I've also just finally worked out a lovely cheeky little exploit. Allow me to demonstrate. For example, let's say I want to turn a new nation into becoming a member of the Hansa. This here is the bishopric of Bremer. It's not particularly very big, it only takes up 8 provinces, is in this nice little region, and it doesn't have any urban environments. Because of that, even if I were to, say, fabricate a claim on their land and immediately declare war, in the peace deal I can't turn them into becoming a member of the Hansa. The only option I have is to make them a regular vassal. However, there is of course a workaround, because the developers tied the decision over what can and can't be accepted in a peace deal to the main target of the war. This means that instead of declaring on Bremer, which I want to turn into a member of the Hansa, I instead fabricate a claim on Holstein-Plön, who is allied to Bremer, and then declare that war. That summons Bremer into the fight, and now when I go to the peace section, you can see that I can turn them into becoming a member of the Hansa, despite the fact that they lack any urban environments and so consequently should never be allowed to be turned into a member of the Hansa. The same goes for every other nation in this war. Lüneburg is quite simply too big to be turned into a member of the Hansa. Same for Mecklenburg. But that's not going to stop me, ladies and gentlemen. The sky's the limit, and I'm going to become your god. So yes, there we go. That's going to be our first war off and running. Then I'm of course going to accept whatever demands the burghers would like. This allows me to fabricate 2 more claims, and I've got a few more I'd like to target. I have the lovely Republic of Pavia down here, a really small territory that is allied to Genoa, Tyrol, and also Tortona. Now, Genoa is simply too big to actually vassalize in one war, so we won't be able to turn them into a member of the Hansa, but we could potentially grab up Tyrol, which has the ability to be one of the wealthiest nations in the entire game, yet for some reason their AI appears to be brain dead, because they're deciding to build a stone quarry in their capital rather than investing in the literal silver mine next door. You know, the thing that could just print infinite amounts of money. But who am I to question the AI's judgment? And then for my final planned war of this cabinet, we're going to go for the entirety of the Kingdom of Sicily. Now, this isn't a nation we're going to be able to turn into the Hansa, but it is hopefully one that I can turn into a very powerful vassal, one who can extend my reach over the Mediterranean and potentially start colonizing the New World for me. Alright, so with all of my little claims complete, we can start the conciliatory movement, get some naval support going, and huzzah, we're going to succeed in this parliament. It really is as easy as that. All that's left is for us to win this first little war, and I really do mean the term little because I no longer have to do any fighting. This game for me is an absolute walk in the park as my vassals summon up massive stacks of thousands and thousands of men, and look, even though they've technically raised 9,000, that doesn't really matter to me. If any land gets occupied, it's the land of my vassals getting occupied, which isn't exactly going to hurt the bottom line of my economy. So yes, my vassals go in and are just busy dominating all of the AI in a fight. And who's this? Holstein-Plön wants to sue me for peace? Oh yes, this is very exciting. So one of the silly things about playing the Hansa is that the AI can't ever actually win against me. I'm technically losing this war because, you know, my vassals are being occupied, but that's okay, it's all very temporary. And so yes, they want to try and force me to peace out, but they don't have anything they can actually take from me. In the worst case scenario that I do lose a war, like say I get coalitioned, all that's going to happen is I'm going to shut down some Hanseatic cantons in a bunch of random locations. As you can imagine, losing what is effectively only a few hundred gold doesn't particularly matter to me. Still, I want to win this war, so we're going to decline that offer for now. Thank you very much, AI. So now the war's starting to go in our favor as we're once again just systematically winning fight after fight after fight and siege after siege, and the enemy is slowly running out of manpower that they can draw from. This is all very excellent for me. Anyway, right, that's the war 100% completed, so I should probably start separate piecing people. Duchy of Lüneburg, how do you like to become a vassal? And we've got the Bishopric of Bremer, why not? I'll take you too. Cheers, mate. It's another brand new vassal. So there we go, I've taken 3 of the 5 nations as vassals, and then that leaves the remaining 2 to be converted into members of the Hansa. The reason why a member of the Hansa is better than a regular vassal is because they give me more trade power, which in my case equals more money, and they also have significantly higher loyalty. Every single member of the Hansa gets plus 30 loyalty, which basically makes them twice as loyal as everyone else. As you can imagine, that's pretty darn good. And there we go, the siege is finally complete, which means Mecklenburg can become a member of the Hansa along with Holstein-Plön. Fantastic. We've done it, ladies and gentlemen. Yet another glorious war with ridiculous amounts of antagonism. So there we go, that's the first war completed, and I decided to invest all of the money that I had lying around after the war into building 48 brand new Hanseatic cantons all over the empire. There we go, more money for the money pile, which is great as we're rapidly approaching 1,000 trade income. Now I'm going to continue doing all of my wars, and maybe we'll find out if anyone in Europe can actually stand up to me. Welcome friends, we're now over 50 years into the game, and I have finally discovered the Mali Empire, and by discovered I mean I found this tiny sliver region of Africa, and that has given us vaguely contact with their capital location of Niani here. Now the reason why the Mali Empire is so special is because they have a ridiculous ridiculous quantity of gold mines. They actually start out the game with my favorite Civ 6 leader, Mansa Musa, who is historically responsible for one of the world's greatest hyperinflation events. Now, the Empire is utterly massive, and whilst they are significantly technologically behind us, we should get an event popping up soon that allows us to sell them guns, which will be, a thing I can probably do. By the end of this war, I should have the Prince Bishopric of Magdeburg as a vassal. I've already picked up 3 other vassals in this war, bringing my grand total up to 57 different subject nations. Wow, that is just truly ridiculous. My goodness. Yeah, the game was not designed for me to have this many vassals. They just are perfect. They go around in this massive ball with like 30,000 men. They bump into things and the things die. It's lovely. And there we go. The siege is complete, meaning we can now finish and add both of these nations as vassals. And job done. Splendid. That's a brand new gold mine added to the Empire, which I'm immediately going to sink a bunch of money into expanding. Right, a few more years have passed and we're actually nearing the dawn of the year 1400, which is very exciting. In the time since you've last seen me, I've expanded quite a bit. We've gained a bunch of subjects in this region, including all of Holland. We've now also nabbed the new nation of Croatia that has been formed, and one of my personal favorite historical nations that can happen, the Republic of the Victual Brothers. Historically, these guys are basically hilarious. They're effectively a bunch of pirates who ended up occupying the island of Gotland for a year or two and caused a massive amount of trade-based havoc in the North Sea. So yes, safe to say that as soon as they spawned on the map, I absolutely immediately had to add them as a new member of the Hansa. Speaking of which, the new Hanseatic Empire adds up to a total troop count of nearly 55,000, which is very good indeed. Almost all of northern Germany is under our complete control, as well as most of central Italy. There is absolutely no threat that remains for us on this map. However, that doesn't mean the game's over. In fact, as we continue to expand, we will encounter new threats. Right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the 7th of June, 1396, and the map looks a little bit different because I've made some changes to the fog of war to improve performance, and also to better show off the land that I actually control. So what does the future have in store for us? Well, down on the west coast of Africa, we've discovered the minor tribe of the Jolof. Unlike all the other small nations around here, they're not a subject under the Mali Empire, which means we can actually fight them. So with the 17,000 gold I have lying around, because I'm just a god at this game, I'm going to be conscripting up an army of around about 10,000 men and then sailing them down the coast to the west of Africa. So it's time for me to hire a lot of troops. Now you might wonder why I'm beginning a quest to conquer the New World rather than continue my expansion in Europe. And no, it's not just because I'm British. There are 2 reasons. The first is that I already fully control all European trade areas, and the second is that all European nations hate me because I've done so much war. They really should all be ganging up on me in a coalition, but for some reason that I'll be discovering shortly, they don't. Right, so I've basically queued up the order of 57 transport boats and about 9,000 mercenaries to join me on my fight against the lovely nation of Jolof here. We're going to immediately begin ferrying them down to this tiny independent nation. Yes, it's perfect. So around we go with our lovely little boats as we're almost ready to load everyone up onto an absolutely massive ship fleet. There we go, let's get them all on board. Perfect stuff. Now we'll merge our 2 fleets into one big lovely military fleet, and I do believe we're now ready for war. So Jolof, I apologize, but this is it. You're getting colonized. So Hussar, war is afoot, and whilst, the rest of my vassals are probably still going to be messing about over here with that conflict, we have a much more important and greater goal to deal with. Actually extending my naval reach. For you see, unlike other nations, I can't conquer land, which means in order to extend the reach that my traders can get to and say buy gold from Mali, I have to actually put one of my vassals in control of a port in the area I want to expand into. So that means I need to go over here, fight a war, hand the land off to one of my lovely subjects, and then invest in the territory and build it all up so that we can improve it in the future. Alright, come on boats, get our men down over there, we need to be as swift as possible. Okay, so what are we up against? We're up against 5,000 levies. The thing is, unlike other nations, the levies of the nations over here are actually really quite good and dangerous. Alright, time to deal with this peace treaty. And there we go, glorious victory for our wars in Europe, more lands added to the empire, Mecklenburg has been expanded, and back over here, we have our first fight with the lovely people of Jolof, and as you can see, it's not looking good. Alright, let's try and unify our men up into one big army, consolidate the regiment so we have a nice balanced front line, and hope that we win the fight. Come on, let's go! It's very fighty society. But yes, we only lose 1,800 men, whereas they lose a few thousand. So it's a glorious success so far. It's definitely looking a bit dicey. And this is very exciting. We get a little message from the Mali Empire because they've now noticed us. They say that they're very interested by the fact that we're using these things called guns, and they'd love to have some. Now, we can accept, and in doing so, they're going to give us 261 gold and gain 100 opinion of us, which is really, really good. So we're of course going to take that deal. Mali gets a lovely positive event involving us, and we're going to start improving our opinions with them. So that way we can start doing some proper merchanty stuff. So there we go. With 𝐵𝐺 mostly completely eliminated, all that's left is for us to work out how to divide up this land. So there we go. We're basically carving their country into a bunch of weird little shapes, but that should be perfectly acceptable. And as you can see, we've now extended our borders off into this new world, which is fantastic. There we go. Just like that, as soon as a new port gets built in this area, our ability to expand will be greatly improved. And now that we actually have our first city in this area, I can already start building a new Hanseatic canton. It's fantastic. We're also going to revolutionize the local economy by investing a bunch of money into it. And there we go. Fantastic. Anyway, back to Europe, where once again, we've got more random tiny city-states I want to murder. Like this tiny random bishopric that has one town. You're going to be perfect. Right, beloved vassals, go kill. Right, welcome back. It is almost the end of the year 1400. Not only have we achieved the golden opinion rating of 100 with Mali, but we're also able to do it with Egypt, who you might see actually doesn't like us that much. We're only up to a positive 64 relation with them, not the 100 we need. And luckily we can solve this with money. You see, by throwing 7,000 gold at Egypt, they're not only going to owe us a bunch of favors, but they're also going to gain 40 opinion of us. Now, most nations are never going to have 7,000 gold lying around that they could just throw at someone else, but I can. And so with all of those improvements, I'm able to build some incredible things, like the lovely fondacos that give good trade advantage, but most importantly, it's the Hanseatic cantons. We're going to get building as many of these as humanly possible, because now we're going to gain access to all of that Egyptian economic goodness. Anyway, right, I'm just going to have to basically power on through until we reach the end of the Renaissance, because, yep, progress is going great, but it's also slow going until we can truly start exploring. Welcome back to EU5. Yes, that's right, we're back in EU5, where the year is 1410 and the game is a little bit stuttery now because of the things I've done. But most importantly, I've been exploring on the west coast of Africa, and that means we've now finally breached the gap where we have a continuous line of known borders leading all the way up to our markets here on the coast of Africa. This now means, ladies and gentlemen, we can trade with the Mali. And guess what? This market is filled with a surplus of gold. Yep, the lovely Malians over in their capital of Niani produce some of the world's largest quantities of gold, and we can ship all of it out of the country. So that's exactly what we're doing. As we can see with these lovely trade arrows, we are in the process of moving all of the gold and distributing it over Europe. It is a fantastically wonderful thing to do, and it is going to be incredibly profitable. The only thing that's going to get in the way is not having enough trade capacity, but I'm sure we can fix all of that by encouraging our lovely AI friends to actually industrialize some of their lands here. So we're going to go over to the wonderful Pisa here, and I guess we give them some money. Here, have 4,500 gold. Mecklenburg, same for you. Bam, 4,500. Go make me some cities. Oh, and it looks like we also have a new parliament ready. Perfect. Let's go for market regulations, and we're going to fabricate a new claim back on the poor nation of 𝐵𝐺. Yep, sorry 𝐵𝐺. You've still got land I can steal, and potentially I can turn you into a vassal, who in turn could be giving me more market value. It's fantastic. The only other things we can start building out there to start making some extra money would be, these. Now, we're not going to be building them, and that's entirely down to the fact that I haven't researched them yet, but as soon as we have, potentially we could be making money off of product. Yeah, let's call it product. Just don't really think about it too much. It's fine. It's really best just not thinking about it. Right, we're nearing the end of the Age of Renaissance, and so setting ourselves up for a future of complete economic domination involves also making sure that our culture is on top. And the way in which we do this is by becoming really close to our vassals and then enforcing that they change their entire culture. That's right, we're going to force the lovely people of Hamburg to adopt Tuscan culture. This now means that as the months go by, slowly more and more of the Lower Saxon people will convert into becoming Tuscan. As you can see by the culture of the Tuscans, there are nearly 1 million Tuscan pops worldwide. 300,000 live in our lovely kingdom, but places like Mecklenburg and Hamburg will start growing their Tuscan population up nicely as they convert their existing Germans into full-blown Italians. But back to my grand strategy, things are going very nicely for us. We do have a slight problem in that now the Holy Roman Empire has changed a bit, as all of of the Italian nations have been booted out of the empire. This is completely fine for me, it just makes it a little bit harder for my vassals to move around with open borders. The main thing I'm focused on though is expanding the reach of my trade network. After all, I have complete domination over all of these trade nodes here, so we don't really need to bother expanding. Where we do want to start expanding into is the glorious new worlds, full of people who don't know about guns yet, which means we can sell them some exciting new goodies. Oh wow, we've almost hit 2,000 trade income now. This is utterly ridiculous. Where is this money happening? Jeez, we are just making far too much money now. It is actually ridiculous. This is truly incredible stuff. Okay, so we've now maxed out the relations we can improve to Yemen, as that means we're on to the final stretch. We'll offer them food access, gaining an extra 10 opinion, and then as soon as we can send them a gift of about 4,000 gold, and that will push us over the threshold that allows us to build in their territory. There we go, with our nice investment of 4,000 gold into the Yemen economy, we can now build up as many Hanseatic cantors as we like, and so of course that means we're going to max out all of our cantors pretty much everywhere. Yemen's population is massive, so even if they don't have the available workers to staff them all straight away, they will in a few generations' time. I mean, it's truly incredible how much we've been able to build over there. Oh, and fantastic, we've just picked up emporiums, which gives us a flat 10% trade advantage in all of our various regions, meaning in the Naples trade node, which is mostly land that is entirely owned by the Kingdom of Naples, we've well over twice the trade advantage that they do, meaning we're making nearly 300 golds worth of profit every month. It is insane. The game is just not able to comprehend my madness. Right, I think it's time we address the biggest cheat I found in this run. It turns out when you play as a landless nation, the AI simply cannot declare war on you because they don't have any lands that they want to conquer from you. This meant that the entire antagonism system for me was completely meaningless, and if I wanted to hand the entirety of France off to one of my vassals, absolutely no one in the world would have reacted when all the French started speaking Italian. Thanks devs, what a perfectly balanced feature. Alright, next up I am improving our relations with the tribe of Kurdistan here, and presumably after we've got enough money, we're going to be in a position where we can start building in their lands. Perfect, I didn't even need to send them a gift, all I had to do was just give them food access and military access, which are two things that Kurdistan are never going to be able to benefit from because I don't have any land to offer them food or troop access in. But who cares, because now I can build in their lovely yummy territory, and they own Baghdad, which, you know, we can build a lot of Hanseatic cantors in. So there we go, lots of lovely big expansions into Kurdistan, which are going to hopefully make us a lot of money in the Baghdad trade node. Again, yes, our investment is already paying off. By bribing our way into Yemen, we're now making 31 gold profit per month in their market, which is fantastic. It's mostly exporting all of this lovely incense they have lying around. Very nice indeed. My next economic improvement target is the Sheikhdom of Al-Fadil. Yes, I actually think I got the pronunciation there to an acceptable level, but once again, the same rigmarole happens where I give them about 2,000 gold, and then I build up a large amount of cantors in their territory. Okay, my next target is Tabriz, who have 12 urban locations for us to build in, so we're going to try and get very friendly with them, and then get more cantors. It is kind of a little bit of an expensive investment, but just getting all of the AIs addicted to buying our trade goods should probably be enough to secure our complete domination of the entire game. Okay, so I've been building the next wave of Hanseatic cantors all over the Ottomans, which is very nice. Once again, we have complete control over the Constantinople trade node. Everything that moves through here is ours. It's great. And I've noticed that I can actually intervene in wars. This is because I'm such a great power. And this means that sure, yes, I could intervene in one of my rivals' wars, or alternatively, I could join in the 100 Years' War on the side of England. This is because France has technically kick-started this war, which is the 6th phase of the 100 Years' War, and so honestly, why not? What's the worst that could happen? I figured it'll be a good laugh. My goal in this fight is pretty simple. Oh my goodness, survive the lag. Have all of my vassals do a ridiculous amount of fighting, endlessly pummeling France over and over again until we build up enough war score where I'm able to ask them for stupid amounts of money. If I can get France to take out loans in order to give me cash, what I can then do is use the money that France gives me to buy the loans that France had to take out in order to pay me the money. It's this weird cycle loop where we can lock the nation into debt. So yes, I'm just throwing all of my troops into this front line, and we're going to now see the side of England gain over over 100,000 men. I would zoom into this, but if I zoom in any more, it's going to get quite laggy. Oh my goodness, game, come on. Swing all of my forces as we begin sieging southern France. Yes, great stuff. I mean, here's the thing, we could actually help England win the entirety of the war, or we could just focus on doing the really silly stuff, which is, you know, exactly what I'm going to do. I want war reparations and a metric ton of money. It's gonna be great. Okay, yeah, we have completely swung this entire war in England's favor. Look at that, 140,000 troops on that side versus the French's 30,000, which they are currently losing in various battles that, you know, I can technically zoom in on, but, you know, it's gonna lag the game a bit, so it's best we just stay at the really maxed out zoom map modes. Oh my goodness, poor France really doesn't stand a chance. They're just at war with almost all of Europe, but this will serve you right for, I don't know, the great crime of being French and crashing my game when I clicked OK on that button. Oh dear. Yeah, so I don't have any good footage of that era of the 100 Years' War, but basically nothing happened. France and England swapped two tiny peasant villages, and nobody won. Thousands of peasants died, and both nations got into massive amounts of debt. So, yep, it was just a regular old war. And because it kept crashing, I basically don't have any footage, but it's okay, because the Age of Renaissance is almost over, and this is where some of our fun begins. Because in 1437, we enter into the Age of Discovery, which is where hegemons are introduced, and whoever has the highest possible income, well, they're going to basically be winning the game. So whilst I'm just letting the game tick along in the background, I will be doing as much progress as I can, researching along, most importantly building even more Hanseatic cantons that at this point we definitely don't need, but it's more money and more money is more fun. Otherwise there is no other purpose for my existence. Oh my goodness, okay game, what is this nonsense? So the revolt happens in my vassal, and it of course spews out on this bit of land, and apparently it starts out at a 100% war score success, which means great news for it. It's done fantastic. And before I'm able to actually siege it down, because I can't physically get an army over there in time, and whilst my vassal is currently attempting to siege it down, they decide that they can submit a perfect undisputable peace deal at 100%, which I can't refuse, which just spits them back out onto the map and demolishes a bunch of Hanseatic cantons around the world. How are they allowed to do that? That is just not fair, game. It's just simply not fair. Great, so that's put Venice back out onto the map, all because 70 years ago I gave one of my vassals this stretch of land. Thanks, game. Very cool. Okay, right, we only have 2 more years to go, and this is very exciting because we get a parliament debate which is to balance the budget. Yep, that's right, an extra minus 0.4 monthly inflation, which means we crank this to the max and we make money for free whilst losing inflation. Still, our empire is going very well. Because I'm stealing a bunch of maps off of the various nations around the world, I'm actually exploring at an incredibly fast rate, and that means I've discovered the Ethiopian Empire, which is historically one of my favorite nations, because effectively these guys are a different sect of Christianity. And so for Europeans, when they were busy crusading in the Middle East, and they thought that, you know, they were the only Christians in the universe, to then discover that actually just south of all of their enemies were yet more Christians was quite a surprise. And as a result for us, they don't actually hate us too much, which means it's really easy for us to make friends with them. We don't even really have to give them many bribes, and that means I'm going to be able to build even more trading outposts in their lands. Alright, come on game, I know you're chugging now, but I don't need many frames. I just need to reach the end of this age and become a hegemon. That's all that matters for me. My goodness, I'm starting so much money. There is no reason for me to have this much money. I can't do anything with it. Oh, it's the final one for the Age of Renaissance. I'm going to have to turn down the game speed, otherwise we might crash into the new year. But this has been fantastic. So, the end of this era does bring about the end of a few lovely modifiers. Namely, we're going to lose an extra plus 25% diplomatic capacity, but that's still not a problem. I might have 76 vassals, but they really don't take up much space at all. So all is good as we head on into the next year. Come on, here we go. Give me the new age. Here it is. The Age of Discovery, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, it's so good. The administrative side has a few bonuses for trading, but that's about it. Diplomacy side has advantages for exploration and also trading at greater distances, and is generally more navally focused. The military side of things is entirely about fighting. Okay, I think think we're going to go for diplomatic focus in this age. Oh, and hegemon proclaimed. Fantastic. Okay, so there's a few hegemons that have been immediately handed out. Egypt has gained naval hegemon. Bohemia has gained military hegemon. France gained diplomatic hegemon. And we have economic. Now, this is by far the most powerful one in my humble opinion, because we can now do force divert trade. When we force a nation to divert its trade to us, like say the entirety of the Ottomans, yes, they do lose some opinion of us, but they hand over 50% of their trade advantage to us. We can do the same over here in Novgorod. We can do the same with the Teutons. We can do the same with Austria. We can do the same with Morocco. And just basically every single nation on the map is going to be willingly handing over all of their trade authority to us, so that way we have even more trade power. This can just be repeated over and over and over again with nearly every nation on the planet. There is no downside. And the problem is, the only way you can actually lose the economic hegemon is by having someone make more money than you. And it's looking like the next person on that list is the nation of Orissa. Normally it would be the massive Chinese dynasty, but it appears they've already collapsed. So, hey, that's less competition for me, I guess. So there we go. As we can see, we've now gained a massive amount of trade advantage in the Constantinople market, and the Ottomans have now sunk down to the bottom. This basically gives us a two birds, one stone scenario, where we can deliberately target nations and force them into a state of abject poverty, and then the loss in trade revenue that they're going to be making, we're able to gobble up. It's a perfectly balanced system. Now, in the next stage, of course, there's more amazing, unique, lovely Hanseatic bonuses, like, for example, doubling the trade capacity of all of our burghers, making it so that it's incredibly cheap for us to trade overseas. Because we're a republic, we also get larger mercenaries and more trade capacity on top of that, and then even more trade-based bonuses over here. Yep, it's ridiculous. Every single era we go into, we're going to get more and more unique, wonderful things thrown our way that the AI simply can't deal with. We've now reached the point where our vassals are also starting to generate their own manpower, which is good for us because we can actually take that manpower and we can build ourselves a standing army. Yep, we don't control any land, but that doesn't mean I can't have a few thousand men marching around causing chaos. So there we go. I think that's the end of our lovely Hanseatic journey for now, because as hilarious as it is, I am definitely pushing the game to its extreme. It is not exactly designed for what I'm doing to it, and that is definitely leading to some stability problems, but I don't think this will be the end of EU5 content on the channel. If it's something you want to see more of, then hop on down to the comment section and let me know. In particular, if there's any country or challenge you'd like to see broken, then throw it my way, as trust me, this game is full of more dubious balance solutions than a toddler attempting to build a Jenga tower. As always, thank you very much for watching. I've been the Spiffing Brit, and I hope you've enjoyed today's video. A massive thank you to each and every one of our lovely, amazing YouTube channel members and Patreons, whose incredible names you'll see scrolling by on screen now. Anyway, thank you all very much, and I'll see each and every one of you in the next one. Goodbye for now.